Do you ever think about the idea that we as boomers failed to pass along some of the things we learned, and that some of the things we learned people don't seem to do anymore? I mean, basic stuff like writing a thank you note or knowing your neighbor's name. I'm sure you've heard somewhere recently where they're not teaching cursive in school anymore. Is that a bad thing or a good thing? I don't know. Other than the tradition or the nostalgia factor of it, how often do you see cursive writing anyway? It doesn't show up many places other than signatures, and a lot of times even signatures are electronic. And kind of in the same vein, people don't handwrite notes anymore, other than those to themselves, and that's mostly done by us boomers anyway. But the younger folks now, how often do they write notes? You got the note maker right in your hand all the time. I don't know about you, but sometimes I enjoy getting a handwritten note. Somebody that put in a little extra effort to handwrite a note, especially a thank you note. That's kind of a thing of the past, isn't it? And how about balancing a checkbook? How about even knowing what a checkbook is? Personally, I've been writing a few more checks recently since they started putting on the, what do they call it, a convenience fee on charge cards now. Yeah, I'll write a check. That's fine with me. I like checks. And yeah, I still balance my checkbook every month to the penny. And I'll be honest with you, any mistakes that I find, any errors I find are always mine, but I still do it. I still balance the checkbook. How about sewing repairs? I can remember my grandmother sitting at the kitchen table with a holy sock in her hand with a juice glass up inside of it, darning a sock. How many people nowadays know what darning a sock even is, let alone doing it? I mean, that's an extreme. I get that. We've kind of become a replace it society rather than a repair it society. Good thing, bad thing? I don't know. A lot of stuff ends up in the dump that may not need to end up there. I went to auto mechanic school when I got out of the service, and that was back in the would have been the mid 70s, I guess. And we were taught how to repair things. I can rebuild a carburetor. Uh, Cars don't even have carburetors anymore, so that's kind of a useless skill to have. Certainly not anything you'd care to pass down because it would be almost useless now, other than the antique cars. But we were taught to repair things. Now things just get replaced. If something breaks, you replace it. You don't repair it. And now, granted, passing down the skill of repairing a carburetor is, kind of a useless thing to be sure. But the point is that not everything has to be disposable. Well, not everything should be disposable. If something can be fixed and continue in use, why not do that rather than chucking it out? Not everything has to be disposable. If something can be repaired, repair it. I think another lost skill is map reading. I mean, with GPS in our phones and in our cars and everything, kind of made paper maps obsolete. Yeah, I know it's maps that you have in your hand, but it's not the same as reading a flat map. To me, I've always liked maps, still like maps. I carry a set of paper maps on the motorcycle, and I've got a set in each of the cars for emergencies, for just in case. But you don't see paper maps like you used to. You don't very often see somebody sitting down poring over a map, unless you're at my house. And don't get me wrong, I love GPS. I use GPS all the time. On my recent trip to Texas, if I hadn't had GPS, the trip would have probably taken me twice as long because I'd have been stopping to check the map every 10 miles. No, GPS is great. I love it. But there's some benefit to knowing the skill of reading a map, too. And some people might not consider it a skill, but being able to have a face to face conversation with someone is a skill in my book. Facebook and Instagram and and all the rest of social media, having a face-to-face conversation with someone is more rare than it used to be, put it that way. It's a talent. If it's not a skill, it's at least a talent. And I still think there's value in face-to-face social encounters. Now, I'm not a real extroverted guy. I'm more introverted than extroverted, so it's not an easy one for me. But the fact that it's hard doesn't mean that it doesn't have value. You learn some skills in dealing with people by being face to face with them. There are things you do and things you say electronically that you wouldn't do or say face to face. And sometimes the things you say face to face, you get some value from the reaction, if that makes sense to you. And of course, it's all my opinion. That's all you're ever going to get from me is my opinion. I think personal interactions with people and how to do it well, is something we could have done a better job of passing on, the importance of it. And despite what some people seem to think about boomers, we didn't always have it easy, but we did learn to make do and adapt, and I think that's a timeless skill. We could have done a better job at passing that along. And I think possibly our biggest snafu in this regard is failing to pass along the importance of some of our values. There was a time when a handshake was all the contract you needed. Your word had value, and your integrity was pretty important. And we had an understanding that hard work came before reward. It seems to be the other way around these days. We could have done a better job at passing along that little tidbit. And respecting your elders. And that probably sounds a little self-serving now that we are elders, but we probably could have done a little better job of passing the importance of that value along. And we took a lot of pride in our self-reliance, being able to do things for ourselves, and rather than having somebody else fix our problems for us. We figured out how to fix our own problems. We could have passed that along too. Responsibility for your own mistakes. Owning your own mistakes. And maybe the opportunity to pass things along, some of those opportunities have passed us by. Those opportunities are gone. But there are still opportunities to pass along some of the things we've learned along the way. Grandkids, great-grandkids, we have contact with younger folks from time to time. We can still tell our stories. And regardless of what some people may think, boomers have great stories to tell. I think we could pass some of our values along through our stories. So tell your stories. Every chance you get, tell your stories. And if somebody has a story to tell you, listen to their story. Now, I'll grant you, not everybody is interested in the boomer stories. I get that entirely. But that doesn't mean the stories don't have value. The stories have value. It's finding somebody that accepts or understands the value of them. Keep telling the stories. We can't bring back the past, and we probably shouldn't. We shouldn't want to. But we can still pass along some of the important things that we learned along the way. Patience, curiosity, adaptability, those kinds of things. We still have the opportunity to pass some of those things along. So, not everyone needs to know how to set the points or check the timing, but knowing how to change a tire is still a valuable skill that people should know. I guess that's the point. So what do you think we forgot to pass along? If you're a boomer, what do you wish you would have done a better job of passing along? If you're something other than a boomer, what would you have liked us to pass along? I'd be interested to hear that from both sides. Feel free to drop it down in the comments. You know me in the comments. I love the comments. Thanks again for stopping by. We'll look for you next week. Peace and joy, my friends.